Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Facebook and show today. Gloria is the host. Here we go.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. Oh my goodness. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to We Got Issues. WFDF 910 AM, the Superstation. And we are so excited to be with you today. We are so excited to be with you on Thursday. We are thirsty for knowledge. We are thirsty for what's going on in the world. We're thirsty to be with you today. We're welcoming you around the world. Coming out of Detroit, we're so excited to be on this show with you every day from 6 to 7 p.m. We got issues that it asks, where my girls at? Where my girls at? Here we are. Here we are. The force of friendship is here to bring you yet another day. And we just have to stop for 1 second and tell you how we have loved your feedback, how we have loved you guys getting in touch with us and telling us what you like, the topics that we're covering, the information that we're delivering, the energy that we're bringing, and the fact that you're sharing us with your friends. We absolutely love it. When you come online and say, hey, we're saying hey right back to you. We're so clear about what's going on, and it's beautiful here in the DMV, beautiful here in the Baltimore, D.C. area. I'm so excited. My name is Gloria Mayfield Banks. I'm not the bossy one. I'm not the messy one. I could be the classy one, but I doubt if they vote me into that one. But I could be the crazy one. I could be, but I don't know which one you are. But we're here to bring it to you. Positive, powerful, but not Pollyanna. And we're excited about today's topic. Oh, you guys. Today's topic is a very, very fabulous topic about mental health and how African Americans can lean into the topic of mental health and lean into the topic of counseling. But before we go, there's a lot of news going on, lots going on. But I'm going, to the hat and the yellow. I'm going down to North Carolina. Oh my goodness. Her eye just grabbed you there. Sabrina, what's happening, Sabrina Goodwin, Monday?
Oh my goodness, a lot's going on, but I tell you, I still am kind of sort of in vacay birthday mode. I had a birthday gift certificate to this fabulous spa. So I've been at the spa all day today, you guys. When I tell you,
wow,
it's been a hidden treasure. It's the only 5-star spa in the Raleigh-Durham area, the Umstead. And when I tell you fabulous, fabuloso. So I was there from 9 to 3 and I said, let me go, get ready for the show. And so I got my holiday hat on and my hair is not quite did, but I am here. I'm here. Gloria, you're looking good. You always bring the energy. I'm excited about this show. Mental health. What are we doing? How can we protect it? How do we get better at it? So thank you for bringing us this topic. Caterina in the pink, how are you?
I'm doing good. I don't know any news. Y'all know I'm a girlfriend who is, these are some multitasking chicks. I have realized that I can't multitask too much. So I'm planning for a big event and I can't do nothing else. It's like 24/7. I did work out. Okay.
Oh yeah. He was fired.
I worked out. But other than that, I've been like this. No TV, no radio, no nothing. But I'm so grateful to have a house full of folks helping with all kinds of things. So lots of good stuff happening here. And hair, it's all about the hair today. Crisette again. Hello, chic and unique Crisette Ellis. How you doing?
I'm good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Got Issues. I'm excited. It's thirsty for knowledge Thursday, and it's a lot going on. Listen, I didn't hear a lot of news, but I did, when I was eating lunch, heard a little bit of TMZ, and you guys know TMZ will tell you the tea. They will tell you what is going on all over the world, right? And so this one is really a good one that really is similar to what we're going to be talking about, has something to do with what we're going to talk about today. And they were talking about Britney Spears, and that her father plans to step down as her conservator. And so Britney may be getting her freedom, you guys. She may be getting her freedom. I don't know how many of you have been watching that. We've heard a little bit about it in the news, but it's just so interesting. You know, her fans have just been loud about it. They've been out with their signs, and they've been chanting, but they have also sent death threats to the judge. And so now, you know, they're monitoring her emails and different things that were sent to her from Britney's fans, because she upheld the conservatorship and they wanted her to totally free her. But of course, she didn't just, you know, free her and say it's going to be totally, has to be litigated in the courts. But I was like, wow, she has some super fans and some crazy fans if they are threatening a judge. So I thought that was really, really, interesting on today. And then, you guys, how about this? Kelly Clarkson, her prenup was upheld in the court. Yes, and they had a prenup, and he thought he could take her to court, and that's what they were saying. They said the whole point of a prenup is that at some point in your marriage, if you decide that you have irreconcilable differences, that this is what's going to stand. And she has been paying him. Are you ready for this, Gloria? This is going to knock you off your feet. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready?
No, I'm not ready. You know I'm not ready. You know what?
Okay, $250,000 a month.
She's been paying him $250,000 a month.
How long were they married, Chris?
$250,000. And so
how long were they married? How long were they married?
You know what? I don't know how long they've been married, but now that they're the prenup was upheld, that she will not he's been staying, you know, at their ranch, and so she owns that. So literally, they said his normal, what he was making on his own was like $10,000 a month. So she is looking good. They said she got the news while she was taping. What's the show that she's on? The Voice.
It's her show. She has,
No, not that show. The Voice. Yeah, she's on The Voice as well. And they said she started screaming. They had a party, and they had a good time on that show.
They were only married 7 years.
7 years. 7 years. So you know what? That just goes to show you she was I love you, but you better know I'm getting a prenup. Okay, that was 7 years.
You know, we're gonna do that show, Sabrina. We're gonna do that show. She brought that up. We got to do the prenup show because there's so much information that we need to know about that, and that's a great lead into this show, Chris. It's a great lead in. You just got all the news and the tea. That's crazy. I didn't even know she was going through a divorce. I'm not even sure. I think I knew she was married, but I didn't know she was going through a divorce. But I know that would choke me up. $250,000 a month after 7 years.
Yes.
Wow.
And you know, he was Blake Shelton's. He worked with Blake Shelton. Okay.
Really?
And they said Blake was excited for her when he found out that the prenup was upheld, and Blake fired him. Yes.
Girl, go ahead, Chris. Go tell us some more. Tell us some more.
Okay. No, that's all I got. That's all I got for you. That's all I got for you. That's all I got for you.
This is good. This is good, you guys. I'm so excited because that leads us right into this conversation that we're going to have about, we have a married couple coming on, and they're going to talk about African Americans and the hesitancy for them to seek out Black therapy. Now, this is what I want to tell you. You guys, our tribe gives us some of the best topics and some of the best people. And you know, our Force of Friendship Extra, you know, her name is Tony Britton, right? Her name is Tony Britton. She's the Force of Friendship Extra. She's the one who said they would be awesome on the show. And I've known ShanTrail for a minute. So let me just tell you a little bit about them. Kenya and ShanTrail Crean are residents of Central Texas area. There they are. Look at them, coordinated, beautiful in their blue. Welcome to our show, Kenya and ShanTrail. Welcome to our show. I'm very excited for you guys to meet them. They've been married for 22 years and are the proud parents of 5 children and 3 grandchildren.
Wow.
They're both military veterans who served in the United States Army, in which Kenya retired after 21 years of service. Kenya is currently serving as a suicide prevention program manager, and ShanTrail, a counselor on Fort Hood. The Kings are radio personalities on KRGN 98.5 FM based in Texas. And you know, we're going to blast that for you guys because you guys have to share them with your friends. Seriously, their show is entitled Marriage Mondays with the Kings. I said Sabrina's gonna love that. She's gonna love that.
I love that. I love that.
Love that. Marriage Monday with the Kings. I love everything about that title. They are both alumni of the University of Mary Hardin Baylor, where they obtained their Master's of Arts degree in marriage, family, and child counseling. Their hearts are to see people live the best blessed life that God intends for them to live. They are passionate about helping to build stronger marriages, which leads to stronger families and stronger communities throughout the world. When I tell you this whole description of your dream and your passion just got me so very excited. Let me just say this before you guys go. It says racial disparities or unfair differences within the system of mental health have been well documented. Research indicates that compared with people who are Black, white, indigenous, and people of color are less likely to have access to mental health services. They're less likely to seek out services, which is what we're going to be talking about today. They're less likely to receive needed care, more likely to receive poor quality care, and more likely to end services prematurely. You guys, I don't know anyone who has not been touched by it, who has not had to have some of it, who has not had to have any conversation about it. So we're so excited to dive into this topic. You know, the We Got Issues tribe, we want you to call in because you might have a question that might spearhead this conversation. So call in at 313-778-7600. I'm so excited for Kenya and ShanTrail. I want you guys to just describe yourself to everybody. And remember, I told you, brag deeply about what you guys do. She has a book out. She's an author. So I want you to tell them everything because I promise you, there are people that are leaning in. And if we touch one person deeper than we touched them before, it'll be worth it.
Yes. So he told me to go ahead and introduce us. So yes, we are Kenya and ShanTrail King. That in what you have described in our bio, we love helping people. That's just the gist of who we are. Anytime with him being, of course, suicide prevention, us assisting service members. I mean, anybody that's aware of Fort Hood know it's the biggest military installation in the world, not just the United States. So we do a lot of helping and advocating in the community. Like you mentioned, Gloria, yes, this year, we do have a book. And it is titled, I Cannot Love You Because I Am Broken. So I just thought I'd put that there. But I Cannot Love You Because I Am Broken. And it's very interesting how it ties into what we're going to be talking about today. So just not to give the book away, but one of the things that I had to identify in myself, and in the book, we talk about the struggles in our marriage, you know, the struggles trying to be a wife, a mom, a military service member as a female, you know, racism that I encountered, different things like that. I had to go back to what first broke me, and it was what was in childhood. So what else would you add to that about us?
I would just say, just like my wife said, we love helping people. You know, we both have been all over the world in various occupations, and it was always something that God kind of led us towards helping somebody else. And oftentimes helping somebody else will lead you to helping yourself, to help you understand yourself. And so with that, I believe we have a heart for people. We definitely want to get information out to individuals to help them not only in their marriages, but also in their daily lives. And so a part of that is understanding that topic that we'll be talking about today and talking about behavioral health issues and why it is that African Americans may not be using those particular services.
Well, I have to start off with this. Nobody loves a love story more than me. So it's impossible for us to have a couple on here and not know the love story. 22 years married. Tell us a little bit. Take us way back, way back. Take us way back when you guys met. And let us inside the view of how the King started.
Wow. Well, I guess I'll do it this time. She always tells me I get it wrong. But we were actually both in the military, stationed overseas in Germany. We were both on a field problem, getting ready to go to a deployment in Bosnia. I saw her and I met her through a friend of mine. And I said, hey, who is that? And she said, you don't want to talk to her because she's got a boyfriend. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I introduced myself. I asked her if I can borrow magazines. She told me I could as long as I could promise to bring it back the next day. And I did. And, we saw each other from time to time during the field problem. And then we didn't see each other for a while. Then on the deployment, it just would happen that we ended up in the same location. Started hanging out as friends. Yes. Started hanging out as friends. I think the first time we really spent a little bit of time together, she came into the gym and told me that she wanted to kind of work out more as part of physical training, for the Army. And she was like, hey, I asked you to help me work out, but you broke me off. And I thought you liked me.
I thought he liked me. He was trying to kill me.
But, long story short, went through a lot of ups and downs in the dating phase. And we just said, you know what, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it and try to do it right. And just really make things work for us. So here we are, 22 years later.
Wow. Okay. That's
you got it right this time.
So tell us a little bit about the family. 5 children, 3 grandchildren.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I want to open up to everybody, because your journey is a unique journey. And I believe that everybody has a unique journey, and that gives us the flavor from which to base this conversation.
Yes. So yes, we do have 5 children combined. Once we married, we became a blended family. Mm-hmm. So I had a son and he had a daughter. Then we end up having 3 together. So we do have 3 adult children. Our oldest daughter living in Germany with her family. Our oldest son stationed overseas in Turkey. He's married, so they have brought us the grandchildren. We have a recent college graduate son, and then we have 2 teenagers. So we're real close to being empty nesters. I mean, we love our family. Being in the military and being away is so hard, and a lot of people don't understand the sacrifices that you make by serving the country and both being in the military. So anytime that we had to spend time with our children as a family, our children love coming home, and we thank God for that, because most don't want to come back home, so we just come together and have that deep conversation. We don't counsel them as parents, but we allow them to just speak their hearts and their minds and, help them get a better understanding, different things like that. So, and then of course we love on our grandchildren, package them up and give them right back.
Well, that's great. Okay, so give us a little bit before we go to break. When you thought about the topic, can you give us a few minutes on what you'd like to bring to this program when you thought about this topic that I thought you're so perfect for?
Yeah. I think one of the things that we're going to bring is a lot of truth and honesty. I think when it comes to the world of behavioral health, there's some things that we have to realize in the forefront. And those things that prevent us from getting the help that we need have to be a part of that topic. And sometimes we have to understand that thing that prevents us might be our own generation. It may be our own individuals. It may be the spouse that you're married to. And I know there are a lot of people that may be listening. They may be Christians. They follow, Jesus Christ. They're churchgoers. But sometimes even in the church, people are steered away from mental health. And what we have to understand, if we're following God's word, the Bible, he tells us to some he gave teachers, to some he gave doctors. So if he put those individuals there to help us, we need to be using that on top of our faith with the resources that we have in order to help us with our behavioral health issues.
Yes. I mean, I'm so excited about this topic because I talked to Chantel earlier. I recently have talked to some women who've had some very important grieving that they had to go through, and how hesitant they were and how uninformed they were about just grief counseling and what it would do for them. So I'm so excited that when we come back from our break, we're going to be able to hit it. This is We Got Issues, 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We know that we're going to have some callers that are going to call in at 313-778-7600, and we're going to be right back to you. We got some education coming to you today in just a few minutes. We'll be right back. We're going to go pay some bills.
Hey, you guys, this is good. This is good. This is juicy good. Number one, we love having guests. Number two, we love supporting their book. Isn't this just so good? The book, I posted the book title and I'm trying to see it show up. I Cannot Love You Because I'm Broken. And you know, we talk about that, about what happens when two broken people get together, or a whole person and a broken person. It doesn't make for great. Julia, Chris was talking about Kelly Clarkson. You know, we see so much in Hollywood of, it's not just Hollywood, it's everywhere. But how do y'all feel about a prenup? What do you think? What do you think? When is a prenup okay? Do you only get a prenup if you are a multimillionaire, only Hollywood? You know, I mean, if you're making $100,000 a year and own a house and somebody wants half, to me, that might even be more painful than when you are a multimillionaire. But wow. That just, I would love to know what you guys think about that. And then therapy. Today, we're talking about therapy, the importance, what stops African Americans from seeking therapy, from staying in therapy, from getting the, I think y'all can hear me, but it looks like I'm frozen. So what stops folks? Can y'all hear me okay? Because it looks like I am totally frozen. So hold on. I'm gonna fix my little situation here. I think you can. Can you hear me? Okay. OMG. When I plug my computer up into my 3 monitors, it looks like it totally freezes. So I'm hoping y'all can hear me, and I hope my computer unfreezes before we come back from the commercial break. All right, y'all. So we're coming back from the break. Here we go.
And we are back. We are super back. I'm so excited. We are so excited with our guests, Kenya and ShanTrail King, who have a phenomenal radio show on Mondays about marriage with the Kings. And I'm so excited to come in here and talk to you guys some more about Blacks and their hesitance for going to get help. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you advise people to get more comfortable at going to get it, or what do you see as the major challenges that African Americans have when it comes to hesitancy on getting the help that they need? What do you mostly hear?
Honestly, the first thing I would say that comes to my mind is fear. Fear of the unknown. You see often, it was something, as me and my husband was preparing and we were talking about the topic.
Yes.
And generally what is shown is an individual that go into the counseling office, they lay on the couch, kick up their feet, and they tell the counselor all their worries. And that is by no means what counseling is like. That's just for movies. So anybody listening, however, for myself, and we are real personable even on our show, so I'm sure that's not a problem. But one of the things that I wrote in the book when it came to counseling, it was actually one of my coworkers who noticed something that happened to me at work, and I was having a PTSD moment, and she asked me to go to counseling. And the first thing I told her out of my mouth is I said, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to counseling. I'm not crazy, because I'm putting on this strong woman by this time. You know, I'm a grown, I'm a strong woman. I'm running this facility and I'm not crazy. And she said, Shan, I didn't say you were crazy. I just asked if you would go to counseling. And so with that, one of the things I was sharing my husband is this, and we're ones that try to make people think. Growing up, how often did you see a person of color speaking about going to get any help?
Right.
That's something that was not done. And so I remember, this is what came to my mind as I was processing and preparing for the show, is a man that used to walk around and kind of talk to himself. He was always murmuring, mama. And I remember saying, what is wrong with him? And, oh, he's just a little crazy. Well, as they say, where we from, he's just a little touched. That's what's wrong with him. He's a little touched. And so my mind as a child, that's what I equated crazy to be.
Right.
I wasn't that far gone, you know, but we, in a sense, if we be honest, as people of color, were taught, whether it was directly or indirectly, that we don't ask for help. We don't go out and get any help. And I was sharing with my husband, think about the things that is kind of taught to us, if you will, by society, of what we as people of color have to be. Everyone else tells us what we have to be. And so being weak, going to get help, that's nothing that, as a Black woman, you have to be strong. You have to wear your hair a certain way. You have to dress and speak like this if you want to attain a position in the corporate world. It's so many things that has been oppressed. And I speak, you know, as a Black woman, he can speak as a Black man, of course.
Right.
But one of the things that was never shared with us is it's okay to go get help. And so that was some of the things that I can hear, the conversations that I've just had with individuals in general, because of course we don't speak about what goes on in the counseling room with our clients, but that's the biggest thing, fear. Are they going to change me? So
could you describe for the audience, if someone were to come to you and say, what would happen if I chose to do counseling? Can you describe to them, because you just described what they see, you know, in their mind, but I know you can't do what everybody does, but in general, what would be the process to decrease the fear for someone that might want to get some counseling?
Yeah, I think the first thing they have to know is that they're going to come in, they'll be approached by an individual, and they may have a little paperwork to be able to fill out. They're going to go through something that they call an intake. That counselor is going to be trying to find out as much information as they can, but they're going to also have the conversation with them about what counseling is and what it's not.
Right.
The bigger part of this conversation is what's expected of you as the client, because it's not for the counselor to do the work, it's for the client to be able to do the work. And then they may be able to discuss, you know, fees. They're going to discuss the counseling process, the type of therapy that individual may be utilizing for that specific problem that they may be encountering. And then they may also tell them about resources that may be available to them. And then, you know, that's kind of like a gist of what will go on,
and
maybe
HIPAA.
in the first, of course, HIPAA.
Privacy. We
Privacy.
cannot share your information with anyone, just like your medical information when you go for physical, you know, appointments and things. So there is privacy, and that's another fear that individuals have. Because think about it, growing up, if you entrust someone and you share your deep thoughts with them, and the whole neighborhood know, well, we can't do that as therapists. We cannot. So that is a huge HIPAA violation. So think of it the same as with your mental health. Think of the same as with your physical health. We abide by the same rules.
Do you think that sometimes people don't get counseling because they think that the person that's listening to them will judge them?
Of course. And I will say it's probably more so with men, because men, let's just be honest. We were brought up in a way that pretty much set a course for us not to go to counseling. And so I just kind of set the stage for you. You know, I teach classes at Fort Hood in reference to suicide prevention. And one of the questions I asked, is there anyone here that learned how to ride a bike? And everybody raises their hand. I said, was there anybody that ever failed? And they said, yeah, of course, everybody falls.
Right.
Now, with that, most of the time when the females fall, we're going to run to them and say, oh, you fail. Hey, get back up, get on, try it again. But when it's a man, a little boy, what do we tell them? get back up, don't cry, that didn't hurt. And so we start off planting a seed at that particular moment that carries those gentlemen through their adulthood. And so what we end up having is a generation of men who are being told, don't talk about your issues, don't talk about your problem. You're supposed to be a man, suck it up, keep moving on. And what we're really doing is continuing to compress things into a bottle. And we all know once you get so much stuff in a bottle, it has nowhere to go. Then we have issues that happen.
Mhm.
Right. Super issue. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and first, let me just thank you, Kenya and ShanTrail, for lending your expertise on today. I'm absolutely enjoying everything that you're saying. And, this is such an important topic. And, from my perspective, being a pastor's wife and, being raised in the church, I just so remember, especially for, Christians, they just really believe that prayer will answer everything, and whatever you can't handle, take it to the pastor. And, a lot has evolved since way back in the day, but I think this is such a great conversation because, one of the things at our church, we actually have individuals who, are marriage counselors. We have someone on staff that talks to women who are abused, because what the Black church has found out, now the white church knew this a long time ago, but what the Black church found out is that the pastor doesn't have all the answers.
Right.
I'll say it again. The pastor doesn't have all the answers. And sometimes the issues are deep seated. And so if a pastor literally counseled everybody that came to their office for the number of days that they needed counseling, they would literally live at the church 24/7. So I just think this is such a great conversation, especially for, individuals who, may think that, God can answer prayer. And we totally believe in prayer, totally believe that God answers prayer. But I also believe that God equips individuals to help us, right? He always, put ambassadors in the earth to help us. And so that is something that I think is so important. And then my question is, in the COVID environment, how have you all been operating? Are you doing most of your sessions virtually? And I think, for me, just thinking about you guys being in another state, and you talked about the trust issue, because I know it's a lot, especially in the Black community, they have that trust issue. I don't want my business, talked about in the streets. And I don't know if my cousin or my relative.
Right.
You're gonna, what? I got this call. I think it's somebody you know. And so how do you get them past that? I know you have the HIPAA laws, but just really getting them past the trust thing. And then how are you guys operating in this COVID environment?
Well, definitely it's building a rapport. And so what a lot of therapists is doing, of course, went to virtual, which is something that's interesting, I can say, especially in our generation, but building a rapport, because what I see is whether it's virtual or it's face to face, it's kind of like, how we have that discernment where we know, oh, nope, this is not going to be the one. You can tell in the first session, or you go in and you say, you know what, I actually like this person, because instead of talking down to me or talking at me, they're actually listening to me. They're showing empathy and concern. And so regardless, I guess, with the pandemic and different things like that, it's that rapport that the counselor takes the time to build with the client. And one of the things that we could definitely share for the clients who are actually seeking therapy, or you thought about it and different things like that, one size shoe does not fit all. And that was one of the things me and Gloria was speaking about earlier. So if you go to a therapist, because that's what I did. I went to the therapist the first time, I checked the block. I told my coworker, I quit. Honey, you told me to go. Nope, I quit. And she said, just see one more person for me. And she said, if this person, then I won't ask you no more. And I love that lady to life for this. She's an older lady from India. And I went to see the second therapist, and it was nothing wrong with the first therapist. I just was not open to go. However, when I went to see the second one, the rapport that she built And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be real. I was like, I think I like this chick. So keeping that in mind, if you are thinking about seeking therapy as a person of color, you have to make sure you can't just go in and say everybody's wrong. Because if everybody's wrong, what do they tell us? It's not everybody, it's generally you.
Right.
But you have
That's
to
right.
have an open mindset. So we can only do so much as therapists. When you come into the counseling room, you have to be willing to work with us in a partnership because we walk alongside of you. We don't lead you, we do not push you. We grab your hand and we walk alongside of you. So that right there, coupled with keeping in mind that we have to abide by HIPAA laws. Otherwise, we could be sued. So,
Yeah.
and we don't want those problems.
Definitely. I think one thing individuals have to understand as well, when you're going through that counseling process, a part of that discussion that you have in that first intake is about the relationship that you have as a client and therapist. And so I know when we were in clinicals in college, one of the things that we would always do is say, you know what, I understand we live in an area that's fairly small. There's a good chance we're going to see each other out in public. And so if we see each other,
Yes.
you may wave at me,
Right.
I'm going to wave back, but that's all it's going to be. A lot of times people don't understand. They have this fear that if a person finds out that I'm going to a therapist, they're automatically going to think I'm crazy. I wasn't the one that told. When I was walking through Walmart and you say, hey, there goes my therapist. That's how people
And
come
we're like,
around. Yeah.
Ah.
And so as much as we have to abide by HIPAA and things of that nature, it's important for individuals going to therapy to realize that they have to keep caps on things as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
May I speak to something? I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Miss
Sabrina,
Mike.
go ahead.
Okay, Kenyan and ShanTrail, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your knowledge here. I'm sure some of our listeners have maybe considered therapy and then shied away from it. They did get fearful. Maybe somebody's thinking, maybe I should see a therapist, maybe I shouldn't. What are telltale signs that therapy is needed and needed now?
Oh, let me answer that like this. Okay, so first, because I came over from patient care, meaning physical, to mental health. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna equate the two. When that tooth is acting up, we're gonna go to a dentist. When we wake up and can't walk up straight, we can't stand up straight, our legs give out. Oh,
That's
we're going
right.
to the doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when your mental is, and only us can determine this as individuals, when your mental is not right, when you find yourself being aggressive towards everybody, you snapping, everybody else is the problem, you're blaming, individuals around you, you're accusing them of things that they haven't done, and they sitting up like, what are you talking about? They looking kind of at you like, okay, baby, you okay? You may need to go get some help. And so when your mental is off balance, now there is a difference between if you're running 1,000 miles an hour, you need to slow down, you burnt out. But then there's also when you feel like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm just going to lock myself in the room. I just want to be in a dark room. That's signs of depression right there. That's,
Right.
telltale signs. If people around you are asking you, I love you, but can you go get help? It's something that they see that you don't see. Just like one of our old bishops said, you can never see anything on your face unless you look in a mirror. So your loved ones around you may say, Daddy, I love you, but can you please go get some help?
Right.
And if I
Right.
can kind of
Right.
speak a little bit further, me and my husband were speaking. Our age group is stuck between two tectonic plates, if you will. I like to use illustrations. I'm very visual. So we come from a generation or generations where no one went to go get help. We just took it to the Lord in prayer. Like Lady Crisette said, you called on faith, but we didn't do any works. Now this younger generation, they're doing works. They don't care if you got issues with them or what you think about them. I need some help and I'm going to get some help. And so our generation where we're stuck in between is like, well, do we just take it to the Lord in prayer or how can we break it? And that leads to generational curses, which I get off of that. But how can we, who was taught not to go and seek help our children and grandchildren when they want to go seek help and not speak death into them to say, no, we don't do that because it's all about the King family name, for example. So we don't go get help. So all of this, just I just encourage, just go get the help. You feel so free on the other side. So
Yeah,
That's
that's the other
excellent.
thing, how
That's
you
excellent.
feel after you get it. After you get it. You guys, we are at We Got Issues, and we're talking about the hesitancy of African Americans to go get help. You call in at 313-778-7600 because you might have some questions. And we're so excited for this topic. I want to go into the marriage counseling that you talked about, because I know that when I got divorced, I had to have counseling. I sought help. Counseling. And because I was in a domestic violence situation, I was filled with a lot of fear and a lot of intimidation. And then I had small children, and I was afraid for what was going to happen to them. And I didn't know how to navigate having a relationship with someone that I was desperate to leave, but had children together, and they needed to manage the mother and father piece. And so I remember going to marriage counseling when I felt that there was a problem with the marriage. And I remember the counselor saying in the first session, "Oh, you guys are not going to make it." I mean, the first session. Now, I got married on August the 4th, and I went to the session by that September. And he said, "You guys are not going to make it." And my reaction was, "Oh, yes, we are. Watch this." Well, that was a problem, because 10 years later, it was a big problem. However, when I did go to counseling after I got a divorce, I remember walking into her, and I'm so excited that I went. And I asked her, I said, why, how come I'm not crying? Why aren't I on the couch just wailing like I thought I would be? And she said, "Because you cried so much during the marriage. There's not much to cry out." And so I guess I'm telling the story, number one, in transparency, and number two, how a person that's prepared and trained can say a couple of things and put you back on the path that you didn't know. And so I always tell people, if you go to a doctor, because just like the analogies that you gave, a counselor is there to help you navigate your mind, to put you back on the path where you need to go. However, we've got a lot of people listening, and they know they'd like to go to marriage counseling, or they'd like to have someone, their partner, go. How do you suggest supporting that to happen? Because we hear it all the time about women who feel they need counseling, but their husband won't go. My husband won't go. My husband won't go. He won't go. He won't go. I want my marriage, but he won't go. So can you talk a little bit about how you support people in that realm, and for Black African-American men to get to the marriage counselor as well?
Yeah. I think in that particular case, regardless if it's a male or a female, you have that individual says that I want to go, but my spouse doesn't. Then
Right.
you go get the help that you need. Because there's no sense in both individuals staying there suffering. Go get the help that you need, and you never know if you win that person over by going. Another thing that I would say, especially to the African-American men, is that we have to get ourselves to a point where we can learn to be vulnerable. I think that's one of the biggest fears that prevents African-American men from being able to go to counseling, is that point where you have to open up yourself and let somebody else see what's really on the inside. And that prevents them from going. Now, I'll tell you a quick story about myself. I was married previously for about 7 years, and I tried marriage counseling as well. And the thing that shook me from marriage counseling is that when I walked in, the individual looked at my spouse at the time. He looked at me. We went in and sat down. He introduced himself, and he looked straight at me and said, "What did you do?" And so right off the bat, the man is made to be the perpetrator. And I'm not going to say I was an angel. I had issues as well. But right off the bat, you just kill that individual. If it's couples counseling, if the two are going to become one, then we both have to realize the issues that we both may bring into the relationship and try to help each other. We're helpmeets to each other to get through. Now, how do we help those individuals really see that? We have to educate people. We have to tell them what counseling is. We have to tell them where the resources are. And then what they have to do is step out on faith and say, let me pick the best person that I think is right for the job from the counseling profession and see where it goes. And so, in other words, it's almost like that old commercial, the old Life cereal commercial. I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to give it to Mike. He'll eat it. Somebody has to be the first person that eats it. And then once you find out that it's pretty good, now both people can share that in that eating process. But I think a lot of it is encouragement. It's support. It's not beating each other up to say, I'm going to go in and prove that you're wrong and I'm right. It's what are we going to do to enhance our relationship?
Wow.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
I'm loving this conversation. It's so valuable. And my two questions are: um, how do you find the right therapist? Is it always paid for yourself, or what, in terms of insurance and so forth? And then my other question is, when do you know that perhaps someone else, one of your loved ones, is challenged and going to therapy? But I often have heard uh, the codependent person or the caregiver or someone else goes to therapy as well, so they know how to walk with them through it. I know I'm not saying it properly, but I know of friends who have had a child, for example, who was abusing drugs, and they went to therapy to know how to not be codependent in that situation. So how am I asking the question correctly? When it's not you directly, but you may still need counseling, so you know how to handle that and how to support them.
Yes. So the second question, I know you were asking about codependency. Can you tell me the first one again? I apologize.
Just how do you find
Picking a
I know when we ask these double questions, trying to fit it in before the show is
Okay.
over.
No.
How do you find
So
the right
picking-
therapist? I'm assuming people can contact you guys virtually. You could clarify that as well. But how do you find the right therapist for you?
Well, picking a therapist, this is my personal opinion, not speaking as a therapist. To me, is a lot like picking a doctor or a dentist. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get word of mouth. Is
Right.
what I personally like. And you know how we are. If I trust Gloria and Gloria say that Sabrina's good, then I'm going to
Right.
Sabrina. So
Right.
generally it's a lot of word of mouth. There are, websites such as Psychology Today, different things like that. But generally 9 times out of 10, generally it's word of mouth, where it's like, listen, I didn't want to go, but I went to go see Sabrina, and oh my God, like she is amazing.
Right.
And so that word of mouth is definitely one that I would say personally. But of course, it's some that advertise a lot, go to Psychology Today, different things like that. And then they'll kind of look and pick a therapist. What we've actually been receiving from individuals that want now, people of color who wants a therapist, I kind of sometimes feel like we're like the resource individuals, because of course with us being not seeing clients at this time, because you can only see so many, then we will refer out. And so with that, it's okay to reach out to someone that you may know. I will tell you this: please don't go to a family member or anyone that you are extremely close with, trying to beg them,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, to be your therapist or whatever, because we're not supposed to do that as therapists. But yeah, definitely word of mouth is what I would encourage. Now, to answer your question as far as support, when it's someone that is going through, especially if it's substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, anything like that, what is generally brought in from time to time in counseling sessions is the family, because who's going to be most close to that individual? So as the therapists work with the individual, they're going to work with the family members as well and give them tools, give tools as to what you can do when you see this. Don't automatically get aggressive. Don't start cussing them out. Don't start going to, because that's going to drive them deeper into what they're trying to get out of. So it is very common, especially when it comes to things such as substance abuse. Now, there has been times in the counseling room, for example, when me and my husband, when we would see couples, what we would do is we would start off in the first session seeing the couple. We let them know, hey, the next session, I'll go take the wife. He'll go take the husband. We're going to come back together. Third session, I'll hear her heart. He's hearing his heart. We come together. Hey, try to come up with a treatment plan. We come back together. And so it's having that support, bringing the children in, because some people may think, well, why would you bring my children in? We're coming in for, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that I do know, and y'all know, we all know it. Growing up in the house, we knew when there was issues in the house. Okay.
Right.
Children are going to sing like a canary. And the things that they see from a child's view, that will bring and kind of help the couple that's in session. So yes, we will call in and try to help teach tools to individuals on how to support that individual that's seeking counseling. So for those of you who say, well, my husband said he don't want me in there. Well, if the counselor bring the wife in from time to time, how's he gonna help me with PTSD if he's not brought in and taught tools on how to assist me and help bring me through this thing?
Yeah. And that's
Right.
ma'am, one of your questions was about the price. Sometimes therapists will put their price out there. We know that insurance covers a lot sometimes, but sometimes you have therapists that will do pro bono. They're able to do some things for free. We have some individuals that work on what we call a sliding scale, depending on your income. They're able to adjust the price to that. When we were in college and we worked doing our clinicals at our clinic on the university. One of the things that they did at that particular point was say, if you can't afford anything, pay what you can, even if it's a penny. So maybe you could go to a university that's close to you
that has a counseling program.
They may have a counseling program, and they may have a center there that offers counseling to individuals, and it's at a much cheaper rate. And the individuals, just like we were at that time, we were master's level students, but we had PhD level professors that were there behind us looking at things on the camera. And that's how we get that clinical experience. But you're well prepared for that before you even hit that counseling room.
There's help out there. There's help out there. There's help out there. There's a way. There's a way. Chris, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I have a question. What is the biggest difference between, I'm sorry. What is the biggest difference? What is the biggest difference between a Christian therapist or counseling and secular? Because sometimes, you know, especially when you're talking to church folk, they're like, I don't want to go to, you know, a secular counselor because they may tell me to do something that I don't necessarily believe and that kind of thing. So how do you navigate the Christian counseling and just secular counseling?
Well, I'll have to say, when it comes to counseling, counseling is counseling. Now, I'm not trying to be mean when I say this. We share with people all the time. Me and Miss King was raised up in the church, under the church. All of that, okay? Lived at the church. So we're not bashing the church when we say this. It's all about the technique and the training of the individual that's providing the counseling. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Lady Crisette, because we have spoke to some pastors in our area who just melt our heart, because they'll say that they'll have parishioners that'll come in to receive Christian counseling from them. But if it's levels that they know that they cannot help them with, they refer them out to the community. That's what the pastors do in the area where we are. And that melted my heart, because when I say training, something that's very prominent that I just found since writing this book, is this a lot of trauma in the Black community. A lot of individuals have been raised up, abused sexually, physically, emotionally, financially, mentally, and things like that. And so with that being said, going back, it's like, oh, okay, well, I will only trust, you know, the pastor. A lot of the pastors have not been trained, no knock, on a level to deal with trauma, for example. So that's why the pastors share with us that they refer out. Now, secular, you may think you go in there and you see, and they just gonna cuss you out and get to, no, it goes back to what I was saying about your discernment as to whether or not that person is a good fit for you, you know, because I'll tell you this, unless we're just purely advertising that we're Christian counselors, most of the therapists out there, many think are secular, but they are men and women of God. So a lot do not put it out there just like that, because you have some people who are not saved, who do not believe in God, Jesus, the whole nine, that they may be like, no, you're going to judge me if I come in and tell you that I'm a homosexual and I don't know how to share with my family that, you know, I want to come out. So I might be judging you if I don't believe in God because I found out you're a Christian counselor. It's the same on both sides. So the bottom line response would be the technique. We do marriage, we do family. I love doing women. He is amazing with children. See what it is that the therapist, ask questions of your therapist and see what it is that they specialize in, because each therapist don't specialize in the same thing. So.
You know, I wanted to ask you about the fact that because of the pandemic and because of the stress, we did an excellent show yesterday about the children going back to school with the mask and all that's going on right now. How do you know, we think about children needing help when it's trauma, but there's a big degree of children, and we're not trained to either have the conversation, to identify it, or to support them in any way. We know what to do when they have a fever, but we don't even know how to identify when a child needs some support and we need to get them to counseling. Can you help the audience on that while we're on 910 AM, the Superstation? Can you give them a little information on that?
Definitely, Gloria. I think you hit the hammer right on the head. We have to have the conversation. That's
Right.
one of the biggest things when it comes to our children. I work in an area of suicide prevention, and in the last couple of years, the suicide rate for individuals in the age of 6 to 12 has went up 54%. And so
6 to 12.
6 to
54%.
54%.
54%.
From 6 to 12?
Yes. And so when we do our suicide prevention trainings, we ask the individuals that are there, do you have the conversation about suicide? Do you have the conversation about behavioral health with their children? And most people don't raise their hand. So if you're not having a conversation, if you're not talking about it, how do you solve the problem? You don't. And so what we have to understand is that if we can go to our children and say, don't do drugs, if we can go to our children and say, don't have sex, if we can go to our children and say, don't drink and drive, don't rape people, why don't we go and talk to them about suicide? Why don't we go and talk to them about the way that they're feeling? Do you have low days? And the easiest thing that we can do is we have to talk to our children on their level.
On their level.
Talk to them on their level. So if you have a 6-year-old and it seems like they're moping around, hey, it seems like you may be down in the dumps. Can you describe that for me? Are you looking like a little happy face? Or are you looking more like a frown right now? You know, we have to learn how to talk to them on that level. And we as parents know how to do that. But sometimes we think if we bring that issue up, we're going to feed that into our child.
Mm-hmm.
And
it into them.
We're speaking it into,
or we don't know how to deal with it. We don't know how to deal with it, so that we don't deal with it.
We just
because
ignore
we don't
it.
know how to deal with it, so you think you can erase it. So this has just been such a very powerful. Yes, go ahead.
No, I was going to say real quick, the last thing, when you speak to your child and they're sharing their heart with you, this even go for your spouse or anybody, put the device down. Because what we do is we listen, put it down and speak to them.
Wow. I am so excited about this topic. Thank you so much, you guys. We got issues, and this was another amazing topic. Thank you, Kenya and ShanTrail King. You guys, you have to follow them on the radio station, Marriage Mondays with the Kings.com. Go and see about their book. Go to the website, get the information, and go help somebody with this conversation. Don't let all the African Americans sit there and be hesitant about getting the support that they need. Thank you, Tony, for this topic. We absolutely love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 910 a.m. The Superstation. We got issues. WFDF out of Detroit. We love you guys. We'll talk to you and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.
That was so
Thank
good.
you.
That was so good.
So
That was so informative. So bold. So bold. We thank you so much for sharing. And that book title is so strong. That's a great title. How can I love someone if I'm still broken? Is that how it goes? How does it go again, ShanTrail?
I cannot love you. I cannot love you because I am broken.
That is powerful. That is so powerful.
Yeah,
That's a show all by itself right there.
Right.
And we've done it. We've done it.
Yes. I mean, we get to chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. So we thank you. We thank you, Facebook, for being with us today. It was an awesome show. Awesome show. Thank you so much. That was